Girl Tamia, and whether you live in the house on the hills or whether you live in the house on the hills or in the projects, you are royalty over here. So y'all, we are going over how to read the law today. Um, because some people are just reading it, but they don't know how to articulate it when they're talking to different companies. They don't know how to express to them what law specifically that they violated. Um, you're referring to the Fair Credit Reporting Act, the FDCPA, which is fine as well. But if you want to be a little bit more specific, that's what we're going to go over today. So I always say the main things that you want to get down are Title 15, and we're going to go back, right? So we got Title 15, right? And under Title 15, you have different chapters, right? And Chapter 41, Consumer Credit Protection, is probably, when you're first starting out, is going to be the most important chapter of this title, right? Consumer credit cost disclosures. That's also going to be known as the Truth in Lending Act, or TILA, which you guys probably better know it as. Why they do that, I don't know, which is, it can say Consumer Credit Cost Disclosure Act, but it'll, but that section of the law will adapt another name. So it's the same set of laws, just, I don't know, we refer to it as different things. Once again, Consumer Credit Cost Disclosures is the same as the Truth in Lending Act. Restrictions on garnishment. So if you are facing a garnishment, these are the laws that you will look for to protect you when it comes to that. Credit repair organizations. These are the laws that you would look if I know. Well, I'm not going to say no names in this video. I'm just going to keep it professional, but I am going to say there are a lot of people that set up consultations with me and phone conversations about consumer law and their credit reports, and I keep getting one organization in particular that is very, very popular, that people are saying, well, I've been with them for years and I keep getting the same letters in the mail. Hey, we think somebody is disputing on your behalf. They're not switching up anything that they're saying. They're not articulating anything different. I just keep paying each month and I'm not getting any results. And lucky for me, when I first started, I didn't have to hire a credit repair agency. I want to say, because this was this was a couple years ago, y'all. So I don't remember if I just didn't do it, or I don't know what prompted me to do it myself, but I did it myself. I really didn't think to hire a credit repair company or anything like that. I don't know, I might have been intimidated by, I don't know what was the reason, but I decided to do it myself. And that probably was the best thing that I ever could have done, because you have to think about when someone else is reporting, especially if they have no limits to the clients that they're taking in. Nobody's going to go as hard for your consumer report and to clear things off your credit than you, or, maybe like a smaller company who, has a certain amount of clients that they can say, okay, I need to stick with this amount of clients so that I'm, the most effective. But, it's up to you. Reporting agencies, that's also known as this is the Fair Credit Reporting Act. Then you got equal credit opportunity. That's the same. Debt collection practices. So the FDCPA, or the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, is what that's also known as. And then you have the electronic funds transfer. So let's just say we wanted to do credit reporting agencies, right? Also the Fair Credit Reporting Act. First of all, your congressional findings and statement of purpose is always going to be in the beginning of each subchapter. So you got the United States codes, which is one big book, and then in that you have titles, right? You got Title 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We get to Title 15. And then under that title you have a chapter, okay, which is Chapter 41. consumer credit protection. Then you have subchapter 3 of the chapter, which is the Fair Credit Reporting Act. So when you get into the Fair Credit Reporting Act, and a side note too, I also want to point out that when you are, enforcing your consumer rights, make sure that the laws that you're bringing forth, the company is actually governed by them, right? So in some instances, like for example, a financial institution, there might be a section in the Fair Credit Reporting Act, even though unless they have their own in-house scoring system, they may or may not be a credit reporting agency. But some cases they might be subject to the FCRA. Same thing with creditors. There are instances where they are subject to the FDCPA, even though generally speaking, the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act is more so towards third parties, or more popular, used with third-party debt collectors. But in some instances, once again, the creditor can be held liable under the FDCPA. So just keep that in mind, right? But we're not going to go down that rabbit hole. I'm just going to give you some outlines of the congressional findings under the Fair Credit Reporting Act, and then teach you how to reference a law. Okay? So once again, under the congressional findings, you're always going to have this in the beginning of each subchapter. And what the congressional findings and statement of purpose is telling you what Congress found. Like what is it that you got, what is it that these companies have done, or credit reporting agencies have done, that made Congress enact these laws in the first place? And we're going to find that out now, right? So we got accuracy and fairness of credit reporting. The Congress makes the following findings. So this should be this should be easy, right? When you're going after credit reporting agencies, because you don't have to make up anything. Congress already tells us in the congressional findings, right? So Congress found, 1, that the banking system is dependent upon fair and accurate credit reporting. Inaccurate credit reporting directly impairs the efficiency of the banking system, and unfair credit reporting methods undermine the public confidence, which is essential to the continued functioning of the banking system. Okay, so the Congress already found that credit reporting agencies are they're inaccurate, right? And they found unfair credit reporting methods undermine the public confidence, which is essential to the continued functioning of the banking system. So in other words, the banking system, the more the credit reporting agencies are reporting inaccurately, right? The more we're like, okay, you know what? My credit score is already a 450. Like, remember, the world runs on credit, right? Everything is about credit, in the world. So if you look at your credit report, that can be depressing, right? That can be depressing. You're like, you know what? I got a 500 credit score. I'm not even about to go into the bank and do business with them. I'm not even about to go into the bank and do business with them. I'm not going to apply for no credit cards. I'm not going to do any of that, because I'm looking at this score. I'm not even aware of my rights, the fact that I'm able to dispute, the fact that I'm able to get these things off. They're telling me that this stuff has to stay on my consumer report for 7 and 10 years. Like, my life is just doomed, right? And that's not true. So the more that happens, right, the more we lose confidence in the banking system, right? And that harms the banking system, right? Because they need us to do business with them in order to stay afloat. They also found that, 2, an elaborate mechanism has been developed for investigating and evaluating the credit worthiness, credit standing, credit capacity, character, and general reputation of consumers. So once again, right, pay attention to kind of what Congress is telling you that the credit reporting agencies do, right? They investigate and evaluate the credit worthiness, credit standing, credit capacity, character, and general reputations of consumers. So it just kind of goes a little bit deeper into how kind of like the vital role that they do play, within the banking system. Character, like your consumer report is literally your character, and it's the general reputation that they make up of you, right? Which is why when we get down here, they have to maintain fairness, impartiality, and respect to the consumer's right to privacy, because at the end of the day, when you're making up a document, right, which is what your credit report is, that's stating all of these things, especially your character and your general reputation. Everything needs to be 100% accurate, and reporting. And once again, they have to have a respect for your privacy, right? Consumer reporting agencies have assumed a vital role in assembling and evaluating consumer credit and other information on consumers. We already know, when they say they've assumed a vital role, that means that they're not backed by the government. This is something that the credit reporting agencies decided to take, the role that they decided to take on, and the business that they decided to do with banks, and they've grown, to become who they are today, which is why Congress had to enact these laws to, kind of get them together. There is a need to ensure that consumer reporting agencies exercise their grave responsibilities with fairness, impartiality, and a respect for the consumer's right to privacy. I think once you start studying the different sections of the law, especially chapter 41 of Title 15, you'll see a respect to the consumer's right to privacy a lot, right? Because once again, especially credit reporting agencies, they need our consent to do the things that they're doing, right? They can't just push you into this system and you just have to deal with it. It has to be some type of consent that you give them, whether you know it or not, that gives them, permissible purpose to do these things. And not saying that they all abide by that. That would be up to you to, to make sure the companies that you're dealing with abide by it. But that's what they're supposed to do in the first place, right? They have to have permissible purpose in order to do these things. Reasonable procedures. It is the purpose of this subchapter to require that consumer reporting agencies adopt reasonable procedures for meeting the needs of commerce for consumer credit, personnel, insurance, and other information in a manner which is fair and equitable to the consumer. Now pay attention to the word equitable, right? And then pay attention to the word and, because or, right, as we know it, is or, is either or, right? But with and, that's just that's and, right? It means both things have to happen, especially when you're talking, in the sense of the law, which is fair and equitable to the consumer. 9 times out of 10, when you're thinking about your consumer report, a lot of people's consumer report isn't equitable to them, right? Equitable meaning it benefits you. It benefits you. And other information in a manner which is fair and equitable to the consumer, with regard to the confidentiality, accuracy, relevancy, and proper utilization of such information in accordance with the requirements under this subchapter. So pretty much anything other than what's permitted under this subchapter, you're not allowed to do, right? You're not allowed to do. And we're not going to get into the Fair Credit Reporting Act today. This is just the congressional findings and statement of purpose. But if you wanted to let them know that they have to handle your that credit reporting agencies need to exercise their grave responsibility with fairness, impartiality, and respect to the consumer's right to privacy, you would let them know, pursuant to 15 U.S.C. 1681 A 4, is how you would reference that, right? So instead of saying according to the Fair Credit Reporting Act, you can let them know pursuant to 15 USC 1681 A4, credit reporting agencies need to exercise their grave responsibilities with fairness, impartiality, and a respect to the consumer's right to privacy. So that is how you read the law. So anytime you are going under a subchapter or reading anything, so for example, right, 15 USC 1681 A would be definitions and rules of construction set forth. If you wanted to do, this is a good one. If you wanted to do reference this little section right here, you would say 15 USC 1681A in parentheses D, in parentheses 1, and then in parentheses again A. So let's kind of type it up here, right? 15 USC 1681. Oh no, 1681A. D is lowercase. T1. A. So that's how you would reference that one. So hopefully this helps you in learning how to cite laws, because that's what it's called. It's actually citing laws. But yeah, so those are 3 examples. The one with the congressional findings, if you wanted to do something like this, 15 USC 1681A B. If you find a little section like this, this is how you would reference that part. So once again, if you have any other questions, you can leave them down in the comment section below. Thank you guys for watching this video. Make sure you are studying. Make sure you are, learning. And I will see you guys in the next video.